All right, guys, in this episode, we're going to talk about the Maine real estate market, specifically last month, January 2024. We're going to talk about the pricing of houses around the state. I'm also going to talk to you about some trends. And finally, we're going to talk about what is kind of happening in the real estate market. And it's not crashing, that's for sure, but it is doing something. So if you're interested in this, if you're an investor, if you're looking to relocate here, if you're looking to buy here, even if you're moving across town or you're looking to sell, this may be interested. This content may be interesting to you. So sit back, relax, and let's get after it right now. Hey guys, welcome to the channel here at Live Life in Maine. If you want to know what it's like to live in Maine, if you don't already live here, that is, or if you're looking to relocate to Maine, you want to know what it's like to work up here, live up here, have a home up here, see things, go places, where to eat, all that stuff, then I would encourage you to subscribe to this channel, tap that bell to be the first to be notified when I drop new content. Guys, my name is Scott Tebow. I'm a broker with eXp Realty. I'm an investor. I own multiple properties. I've flipped properties. I've done a little bit of development. So I've kind of done it all in the real estate industry in the last 10, 20 years. I'm also a father of 5, which is more important than anything else. I'm married. I'm a veteran of the United States military, and I'm a Mainer, or what we call maniacs. So in order to get that distinction, you have to have been born and raised here. I was born and raised here back in 1967. Seems like a long time ago now. So I'm in my mid-50s, lived here most of my life, and I'm pretty much, I'm not going to say an expert because I think that comes with legal ramifications, but I'm in the know when it comes to Maine. Been all over the state, and I am very familiar with the state as itself. But guys, we get calls, texts, emails all the time asking us what it's like to live in Maine. Can we help people move here? Are we willing to help people sell their homes here if they're looking to downsize or upsize or move across the city? Even if they're looking to relocate into a different market, a lot of snowbirds are starting to do that. A lot of people a little bit older than me, kind of the baby boomers, are starting to downsize and look at homes in warmer parts of the country, specifically here in the wintertime, and then stay here in the summertime. So if that's of interest to you guys, then again, subscribe and let us know how we can help you. The information is in the comments below. Guys, as I said in this episode, we're going to talk about the Maine real estate market and what's kind of happening in the Maine real estate market. And it's not just in Maine; it's really across the country. I just read this statistic that the country as a whole hit an all-time high in housing in October of 2023. So that was the highest it's ever gone, and now it's starting to come down. So a lot of people said the market was going to crash. You're going to lose your shirt. Don't buy because it's not a good time. The economy's in rough shape. There is something happening in the housing market, and it's not crashing. It's correcting, and it needed to happen because houses and prices were kind of getting crazy out there. But I'm going to go over the 5 sectors of the state and talk about the housing in each sector. And we're going to start with Southern Maine. So Southern Maine is really York and Cumberland counties. It makes up the cities of Portland, which is Maine's largest city, Westbrook, South Portland, Scarborough, Cape Elizabeth, Falmouth, Yarmouth, Cumberland. Coming down south, you got Saco, Biddeford, Old Orchard Beach, and you got those beautiful sandy beaches, Wells, Ogunquit, Kittery, York. A little further west, you get Sanford. Further west of like Portland, you got Wyndham. You got that kind of market out there. It's where 38% of the population lives in Southern Maine. An interesting fact that Southern Maine is 1/14th the size. When I say Southern Maine, York and Cumberland counties, which is where 38% of the population lives, is 1/14th the size of the state of Maine. So again, 40% of the population live in a 14th of the state, which is kind of Southern Maine. Again, my friends to the north will call Southern Maine Northern Massachusetts. I get it. Sometimes we are Northern Massachusetts. We do have a lot of Mass people. We call them Massholes. living up here or have moved here. No offense to my Massachusetts friends. You guys probably laugh when I say that. But yeah, Southern Maine, kind of where the population lives. So let's get into it, guys. I pulled up the market data. It's fresh off the press from January 2024. And I'm going to flash this on the screen right now. The average list price in January of 2024, actually the average list price really prior to January 2024 was $936,590. When I say prior, because if you see that next column, the new average list, $702,990. That's kind of what the list price that came on. Those are the houses that came on the market in January, and the average list price of those houses in January is $702,990. Now, interestingly enough, negotiating buyers and sellers come down. Pending average list was $666,813, and then sold average sale $688,441. So a little give and take between the buyer and the seller to get it under contract. After it was under contract, the prices got raised a little bit. Not under contract, but based upon contracts and based upon what they found, prices were sold around $688,441 versus what the average list was $702,990 for the month of January. So $688,441, still high. I mean, Maine is the most affordable state to live in New England. If $688,441 was the price for the entire state, then we wouldn't be the most affordable. Probably Vermont would be. But again, we're talking Southern Maine, very developed. It's not like you might think where we just got electricity and running water. Southern Maine is a pretty popular area and a pretty built up area in the state of Maine. But if you look at prices from before, right? If you look at last year, January 2023, the average sale price was only $560,297. $297. So prices have been on the increase, but they're starting to simmer down. They're starting to cool down. You're going to see this as we go on through some other areas. Southern Maine's been a hot market. It's going to be a hot market for a while. Between the sandy, beautiful beaches, the pristine city of Portland. Portland was ranked number 2, I just read, in terms of the best foodie place in the country. I think the 2 Portlands were 1 and 2, ironically enough. San Francisco used to have that title, but we all know what's going on in San Francisco. So if you look at the chart, you can just see what's happened in Southern Maine over the last, 12, 13 months, if you go all the way back to January of 2023. And on the screen now, you're going to see how many listings we actually have active right now in Southern Maine, which is 561. We brought on 261 new listings in Southern Maine. There are 201 under contract, and there are 260 that sold. About the same numbers, a little higher than January of 2023. The market hasn't really gone up or down. It's kind of like hovering right around this mark of 200 and something listings. You look at the summertime, September, August, July, June, July, August, actually from May all the way to September, 600 and some odd listings a month that have come on the market. So I'm bringing this up because, we've been talking about how the market's going to crash. Actually, there's more inventory coming on the market. That's the correction. 2 corrections. More inventory is coming on the market, and prices are starting to come down a little bit. Sellers are understanding that the prices, the boom of late 2021, early 2022, actually all the way up probably I'd say through 2022 into early 2023, that's a distant memory now, and you got to get back to reality. That being said, if you look at this next chart that I'm showing to you is the average list price versus sold price. So the way this works is sale to original list price. So when the house was originally listed versus what it sold for. When I say originally listed at the price it originally listed at, the house sold for 97% of what it was originally listed for. So what that tells you is original list prices for the month of January was about 3% higher than what they closed for. Now, the sale to list price ratio of 99.1, what that really means is sellers reduced their price to get it under contract. And when they reduced their price, they were kind of spot on. Brokers were kind of spot on that, 99.1% of the reduced price sold at that price. So a little less than 1%. So again, the houses came on the market 3% higher than they should have in the month of January, and they sold 1% lower than they were listed for after they were adjusted, after the price came down to get them under contract. You'll notice this is the first time that's happened in the last 13 months, according to this chart. So this is why I'm saying the market's slowing a little bit, but we are getting more inventory. You look at December through January of last year, everything was at or above price, sale to list price after the homes were adjusted. And really the adjustments just started happening in November, December. That's kind of the trend in Maine in general because of the winter months and the holiday seasons. You will see that from March to October, that kind of ticked up and stuff was getting closer to the original price that was going on the market for. What's interesting though is if you look at the month's inventory, right? This is the absorption rate, or how much houses, how fast houses are going for. Based upon the current average of houses being sold, if we didn't, if another house wasn't brought on the market, we would have 2.16 months before we would exhaust the current houses on the market based upon the rate that the houses are being sold right now. So that's not a balanced market. It's still a seller's market. You're going to have about 60 days, a little over 60 days of housing on the market if another property wasn't listed for the buyers to buy. But it's getting better, right? If you look at some of these other statistics, right, it was as low as it looks like 1.12 back in June, which was half the amount of time. But the inventory is coming up. You're seeing more houses on the market. And it goes to Southern Maine still being a desirable place to live, right? Not enough inventory, still 2.16, 60 days, better than 1.12, but we need to get to 4 or 5 months to really get a good inventory. And interestingly enough, houses are still selling days on market. So what is days on market? It's from when you put the house on the market to when it comes off the market, when it's closed, when the buyer gets the keys, guys. It's 36 days. So these reports, by the way, I'm doing are just for single family homes. They do not include condos. They do not include townhouses, multifamily, anything like that. They're just single family homes. Still going pretty quick, 36 days from the time it's being put on the market to the time it comes off the market and is closed. So that's pretty fast, actually, between getting through escrow, inspections, and whatnot. But that's Southern Maine. It's a hot market, still is. Very desirable place to live. And more and more people are moving here. I read a statistic, I heard a statistic from one of the leading economic forecasters in Maine that Maine in 2022 was in the top 5 of places to move, in states to move. And now we're about 9th. We were 9th in 2020, 2021 we were 5th. 2022 we were 9th, 2023 we were 9th. So we're still in that top 10 of places to move. Again, Maine's not a secret anymore, guys. More and more people are finding it out and trying to figure out how they can get up here to have that quality of life balance with work and safety and all that. Let's move on to another section of the state, and we're going to call this the Androscoggin region. I really put it as Lewiston, Auburn, Turner, Lisbon, kind of in that neck of the woods. It's about 45, 50 minutes, kind of a little northwest of Portland, up I-95, Interstate 95. And if we go into that market, another big market, it's the 3rd largest area in Maine in terms of housing. Portland market, Southern Maine market being number 1. But if you look at these statistics on your screen now in terms of prices and what they're being sold for, January 2024, the average list price was $401,054. That was not January. Take that back. That was before January 2024 because New average list pricing, which came on the market in January 2024, was $363,015. So you're seeing a little bit of a drop there, about $37,000, $38,000 pending. So houses went on the contract at $310,255, which is interesting. That's a pretty big drop from the average active average list price, and they sold at $306,463. So between pending and sold, there's a little, again, give and take between the buyer and the seller. Looks like the buyer's winning out a little bit more there. They're making up about $3,500. Probably something to do with inspection or something along those lines. But you're down at $306,463. Again, this is Lewiston, Auburn, Androscoggin area, Turner, Lisbon. It's on your map. You can see the different cities that I showed when I zoomed in from Southern Maine over to Androscoggin. And if you just look at the history there, last year at this time, the average sale price was $316, right? So you're starting to see not Southern Maine, maybe a little what's the word I'm trying to think of, a little not included in this. They're a little different. Southern Maine's a little different. I live in Southern Maine, still a desirable area. Houses still staying up there. But as you get into more rural Maine, Androscoggin County is an example, right? You're seeing prices starting to come down, move a little bit. If you go to the next screen that I'm just going to pop up here, if you look at how many listings are on the market, prior to January 2024, you had 121, brought on 68 new listings, 43 pending, 56 sold. If you compare that to this time last year, big numbers change, right? You had 89 last year, 54 new listings, 57 pending, and 47 sold. So more listings this year in 2024 than it was in 2023. And I believe the interest rates right now are still a little bit higher than they were in 2023, but they are coming down. The other thing to take a note is on the next screen is sold to original list price. So again, houses were listed about 2.1% higher than that they sold for the original list price. In other words, when they first came on the market, right? When they originally listed for before any price reductions. And then when they were reduced, they sold right about at the same price they were reduced to, which you can see in the next column, sale to list price ratio of 100.1%. So that's about when they made a price reduction, they went into contract and sold pretty much at that price after it came down the 2.1 percentage points. And if you look at the month's inventory in Androscoggin, kind of similar to Southern Maine, 2.16 months of inventory. So it's getting up there, right? Again, months of inventory means if you didn't put another house on the market, how long would that inventory last based upon the current houses that are being sold now? You got 2.16 months. Again, a lot better than what you have here in July. You had 1.07. So again, guys, more inventory is coming on the market. It does, I will say that this is changing a little bit only because it is a little bit colder. So while we are getting more inventory in the market, houses aren't selling as fast. People, specifically buyers, they're kind of still sitting on the sidelines a little bit, working on those interest rates, hoping those interest rates are going to come down a little bit. And it is the winter time. But I do see more inventory coming on the market. And I'm gonna say this right now, buyers, don't sit on the sidelines too long, because what you're really doing is, you're hoping interest rates are coming down, but so isn't everybody else. And as the interest rates come down, you're actually creating more competition for yourself, because there are going to be more buyers bidding on the same houses that you're bidding on. So you got to weigh what's more important. Finding a house you really like, absorbing that maybe higher interest rate right now and being able to do something in a couple years, maybe less time, or potentially getting in the rat race with more bidders, more buyers trying to find the same house, which could drive the price of the house up. So, 6 of one, half a dozen the other. If you're going to ask me my advice, which nobody has, but I'm going to give it anyways, I wouldn't sit on the sidelines, guys. I would take whatever the interest rate you can get right now and start looking for houses to try to buy, because, again, as interest rates decrease, you're going to bring more buyers. It's going to bring more buyers to the market, and more buyers to the market, more demand means prices are going to go higher. You're going to get into more bidding wars. So That's Androscoggin County, guys. And obviously the days on market still pretty good. You put a house on the market in Androscoggin County, it's going to be off the market in 30 days. It's going to be sold within 30 days. Still pretty quick. That's pretty quick. Usually we estimate about 6 weeks from the time a house goes under contract to when it closes. This is being put on the market and selling in 30 days. That's a month, right? So it goes on the market, it goes on the contract, it goes through escrow, goes through inspections, goes through leasing inspections, all that, and it closes 30 days on the market. Pretty quick, guys. No doubt about it. All right. Let's zoom over to Kennebec County. So we're sitting here in Lewiston, Auburn, and we're going to zoom over to Kennebec County. Kennebec County is really the Augusta, Waterville region. It's about 30 to 40 minutes further northeast of the Lewiston Auburn market, which is where you get into Augusta, which is the state capital. I think you got like 12,000 employees, maybe 10. I don't know the exact count of state employees up there. You have some bigger industries, obviously, in Augusta and Waterville. They're decent sized towns up there. If you look at the active average list price starting in January 2024 is $468,354. In January, the active average list price is $332,753. So, guys, that's pretty significant difference. What's starting to the prices that you're starting to see come down, at least in January 2024, you did. They go under contract around $301,238, and they sell. So again, give and take when they go to contract, right? They're offering contracts. These sellers are accepting these contracts, but then when they go to sell, they're coming up a little higher to $313,323. Again, give and take from the buyer to seller. On average sale price in Kennebec County, the Augusta kind of Waterville region, is $313,323. Guys, that's a good price for a house. When I say a good price, I mean you're not going to find a lot of houses that are around the 300 to 325 range to buy anywhere in the country. Yeah, sure, you can move to Mississippi, and you're probably going to find some inventory, cheap inventory. Alabama, kind of those more impoverished states, if you want to live in the South, where things are a little bit more depressed. But $313,323, really good price for a house in today's day and age here in Maine. If you look at some of these other statistics, right? This time last year, average list price in January was $411. New average list was $301. Things were going on the contract for $297, and things were selling for $261. Which again, the market is still appreciating, but it is slowing, and we are seeing more inventory on the market, and that's going to show by what you're seeing in terms of how many listings we have on the market, and then what our list of price. So listings on the market, you got 211 active, 79 new, 45 pending, and sold 63. These numbers are active listings and new listings are up. Pending under contracts is down from this time last year, and sold listings are down from this time last year. And what's interesting also is the original sale price to the original list price is interesting. So in January 2024, the numbers show that houses were overpriced by about 8.2%. When I say overpriced, when they originally came on the market and they were listed, they actually sold for 8.2% less than that original list price. Now, there were some concessions made on the seller before houses went under contract, so they reduced their price, and they reduced their price to the point where it came a little bit closer. Houses sold for 97.9% of that list price after it was reduced from the original list price. But again, you're seeing buyers sitting on the sidelines a little bit, looking at interest rates, and a little bit more savvy in terms of being able to buy the homes that are available out there. That sell to list price ratio it's in the middle, right? Because obviously the summer months, everybody's trying to buy and sell in Maine, and then things start cooling off when school starts in, right? You've seen that sale to list price ratio kind of go down a little bit more versus what it was when they were trying to buy it in the summertime. That being said, the average days on market, 49 days. So what does that mean again? House was put on the market and on the MLS, multiple listing service, and it came off the multiple listing service 49 days later, keys to a new buyer. What I really like is this next screen that I'm showing you guys, and that is the months of inventory. Again, what is months of inventory? Months of inventory is if you didn't put another house on the market based upon how fast houses are selling right now, you would have 3.35 months of inventory before all those houses were gone. So guys, talking about a balanced market, 5 to 6 months, we're getting there, specifically in Kennebec County, right? We're getting there. It's still not balanced, still a seller's market a little bit, but 3.35 months, that's 90, that's what? 90, 100 days, 110 days of inventory on the market. That's good. That's giving buyers options, right? And if you look at the numbers throughout all of last year, that's the highest it's ever been. Actually, 3.35, guys, is the highest it's been in a while. More inventory is coming on market. This is the change that I'm talking about that's happening in the real estate industry. It's not just here in Maine, it's across the country. Realtor.com just did a nationwide survey, and they showed that, inventory is increasing, but there's not enough buyers in general around the whole country, and that's because it's got to be because of interest rates, right? There's still a huge demand for housing, but some sectors there's more demand than others. Maine, large demand for houses up here, as more and more people are realizing the benefits of living here, from the safety to the quality of life to being one with nature to the pricing to the housing industry. More people are realizing that. So demand, right? Supply and demand. Let's go to Mid-Coast. So when we look at Mid-Coast is kind of tricky. I call it Mid-Coast down east, although down east is really further east than what you get to Bar Harbor. But when you're coming up the coast, and you start turning, you get past Portland and you start turning east, and you're gonna go through Brunswick, and you're gonna head up the coast. You're gonna pass Booth Bay Harbor. You're gonna go Wiscasset, Bar Harbor. You're going right up that coast on your way to Canada. That's kind of the Mid-Coast market. The Mid-Coast market is a beautiful, beautiful market to live in. Beautiful, beautiful area. Most of Maine's rocky coast are in the Mid-Coast market. And this is where you have beautiful houses that kind of sit on the cliffs that oversee the Atlantic Ocean. You have a lot of these little fishing villages. You have a lot of these little finger points that you can drive out on. You got ocean on both sides, just beautiful, picturesque. You got a ton of islands out through there. You have some really cool vacationer spots. And obviously Bar Harbor is one of the most photographed locations in the world. You got Mount Desert Island, cruise ships come in there. Bar Harbor is actually the start of the cruise ship industry heading to the north. They hit Bar Harbor, and then they go up and around and down the St. Lawrence River and all through there. But very beautiful area, very picturesque. You're going to see this on a lot of calendars, postcards, pictures online. When you think about Maine, maybe think about Maine like the Rocky Coast and the lighthouses. That's kind of the Mid-Coast. Depends what part of Maine you're thinking of. Obviously, a lot of people think of that. I do think of that, but obviously I live in Southern Maine. We have these long, whitish brown, sandy beaches, and it's just beautiful as well. So, but if you look in the Mid-Coast, average list price at the start of January was $1,011,489. Yikes. You notice that the new list prices in January of the houses that came on the market was $681,229, quite a different from what the average list price was prior to January. You look at even the pending prices are even lower than the new list prices, which is $453, $251, and then you look at the sold average sale, $628, $678. So it's a little bit confusing. The $628, $678, I think, is more in line with the active average list prices that are on there, and the $453, $253 is kind of more with the new list prices, the new average list prices. Not really sure. Didn't dig into the numbers that much, but these numbers, guys, are all over the board. They're all over the board. there's pretty big swings from the new average list to the pending list to the average sold. So all I can say when I'm looking at this chart, I can dig in more to it if you want, guys. Just drop me a line, send me a text saying I want to know more about the mid-coast region. Or if you're looking for a specific area in the mid-coast region, let me know. Got a team out there as well. So 628, 678, the average sale price in January in the mid-coast region. Pretty high, I think. Yeah, beautiful place to live. If you look at the how many listings that are active right now out there, it's 491. New listings came on the market of 132. When I take mid-coast again, I want to just make sure I'm explaining it to you properly. I'm taking, I think it's 4 counties. I'm taking Knox County, Waldo County, Hancock County, and Lincoln County. I want to say those 4 counties, which is really past Brunswick. You got Booth Bay, Bar Harbor, and all those in there. Those are the kind of 4 counties that I consider the mid-coast counties. So between those 491 active listings, new listings 132, pending listings 52, and 95 sold. Again, look at this time a year ago, more listings came on the market, more new listings came on the market, less are under contract, and less sold. So why is it less? Again, interest rates are probably higher right now than they were January 2023. I'd have to go back and look. I'm not quite sure, but that to me seems like that's the case. And again, you look at the original list price when houses came on the market versus what they sold for when they first came on the market. That price, almost a 7% difference, guys. 6.5% less houses have sold for than they originally listed for. And when they did those price adjustments, when sellers went back and said, okay, my house isn't going as fast, I'm going to adjust it down a little bit, they came more in line to 97.1, but still houses sold for more than they originally were, A, went on the market for, and B, then were even reduced to 97.1. So houses in the market are selling in general for 6.5% less than they originally listed. And once there's a price reduction, they're selling for 2.9% less. So keep that in mind if you're looking at houses or properties, single family homes in the mid-coast region, because that's what's kind of going on. And then if you look at the inventory, now this is really good information, guys. Again, based upon the current sale of houses in the mid-coast region, there's 5.17 months of inventory. That is really good. That's a balanced market, which may reflect why these days on market, while these sale to list price ratios on 93 and 97, right? More inventory, not as many buyers, kind of balancing out the market, right? 5.17. That's 300, 30 days, 30 times 5 is 50, 150, 160 days, maybe. Is that right? 30 days in a month, 5 months, 150 days, 17 of a month. About 160 days of inventory in the market. Again, you don't put another house on the market, it'll take 5.17 months for that inventory to come off the market. That's a pretty good market, guys, to be buying in. And interestingly enough, the average days on market have gone up as well. So put the house on the market, it comes off the market completely sold, keys given to a buyer, 62 days on average in January, which is common, it looks like, for that area, because if you look at March, February, January, March, all about the same, 60-some days, kind of the winter months. All right, guys, last place we're going to look at is Penobscot County. Penobscot County makes up kind of Bangor, Brewer. It's the second largest market in Maine. Bangor, Brewer is the second largest area next to Portland. You got Orono, you got the University of Maine up there. You got some smaller cities. But if you look at the average list price at the start of January in the Penobscot region, the Bangor Brewer region, was $343,287. The new average list, in other words, houses that came on the market in January, $322,315. Pending, wow, 259, 168, quite a drop down, and even sold. So even houses that have gone on the contract were sold for less, 245, 855 after some give and takes by the sellers, based upon inspections and price appraisals and whatnot. I gotta imagine. So kind of the lowest part in the state in terms of housing prices, the Bangor area. 245, 855. I think that's an extremely low number. I see prices probably closer to. I have some houses that I've listed up there actually, and I see house prices closer to like 310 to 380. Honestly, it depends on where you live. I got a house right now that I just put on the market the other day. It's in a beautiful area. I have no doubt what we're asking for it at 375. It'll go. It'll probably take a little bit. Got some active buyers right now looking at it, see if they like it. It's an older house, but it's in beautiful shape and it's in a great location. Very, very community-based area, parks and schools and all that around. So, yeah, not too far from the hospitals, kind of in the downtown with farmers markets and all that around it. But yeah, I see that price a little low. I honestly do. I think as we continue to do these reports, I think that price is going to come up. What are we in January? I say March, April, May. You'll see that price is closer to 300, in my opinion. But I guess we'll see, right? Look at the how many listens we had in how many listens there are in the Penobscot region area. You have 297 active listens, 84 came on the market in January, 65 went under contract, 79 of them sold. Again, guys, all these numbers are up from January of 2023, even though the interest rates are a little bit higher probably than they were in January 2023. And then again, sale to original list price, 91.9%. So if you're just chiming in again, if you just skipped over to this one, houses when they originally got listed were 8.1% higher than what they closed for. And after price reductions by the seller to get some more activity to get a house on the contract, they still sold for 97.1% lower than the price reduction of the price of the house. And then if you look at the average days on market, 48 days. Again, if you're just joining in, it's from when you put the house on the market to when it comes off the market, comes off the MLS, key is handed to a new buyer, or it expired and was just taken off completely. But most of it is sold, not expired. We don't have a ton of expireds in Maine. You know what else we don't have a ton of? Sale by owners. Don't have a ton of those either. And then if you look at the months of inventory, again, 3.75, that months of inventory. This is what I'm saying. Inventory is starting to creep up, guys. 3.75 months. Again, number of houses, how fast houses are selling versus what's out there. It would take 3.75 months for that inventory to be exhausted without another house coming on the market based upon what's selling up there right now. So not a balanced market, more sellers market, but it's improving. Guys, that's a market update for Maine, for kind of those 5 regions: Southern Maine, Androscoggin area, Lewiston, Auburn, Kennebec County area, Waterville, Augusta, down east or mid-coast, we should call it, kind of the Bar Harbor, Booth Bay, along that Route 1 corridor going up towards Canada. And then if you jump up all the way, not all the way north, but the northern part in this video of Bangor area, which is about 3 hours from me right now. That area up there. Didn't do Augusta County. It's way up there, northern Maine. I did look at it quick. Not a lot of activity up there. As you can imagine, when you got like 3 feet of snow and it's really cold up there, we call it wicked cold up there. You're not going to see a lot of activity. It's beautiful country up there. Depends on what you do for a living. If you're in the logging industry or if you're in the guide industry, or if you're in the potato industry, then obviously Aroostook County and kind of the northern tips of Penobscot, Somerset, and Piscataquis counties are kind of where you're going to live. Or if you're, the northern Maine, if you ever watched the game warden, northern Maine woods, game warden, that's what they're talking about up there. You get the great northern Maine woods, and you got a lot of woods up there. Obviously, it's great fishing. I'll be up there in May, hopefully fishing. Unfortunately, my buddy is selling his camp because he just doesn't use it enough. So hopefully it doesn't sell between May. He asked me, and I actually referred him to somebody else that's up there because I could sell it, but it's a long ways away, and it wouldn't do him any justice if I'm way down here 7, 8 hours south of him to try to sell his place up there. But I'm going to be sad to see it go if it goes. All right, guys. Again, we do this all the time. We've helped a lot of people, hundreds over my career, my team and I. We've helped hundreds move here, sell here, relocate here, invest here. And if you're interested in learning more about the real estate market, if you're interested in really knowing more what we can offer and what we do, we have a lot of tools, we have a lot of programs, we have a lot of tips and tricks to help you sell your house or buy a house. Everybody's not equal, right? You got to have some strategies to buy a house in Maine. You actually got to have some strategies to sell a house in Maine. And as I said before, there's about 100, close to 100 things that a broker does, a realtor does to either sell or help a buyer buy a house. It's not just, get a contract, put it on the MLS, and it closes 30 days later. You got to understand contracts. You got to understand deeds. You got to understand right-of-ways. You got to understand surveys. You got to understand sewers and inspections and what to look for in a house if you're a buyer, or if you're a seller, what somebody may come in and spot, right? I was in this house, was it last week? And the seller said, "This house is great." And I walked around, and for the most part, we're there right until I looked above their staircase on their second floor as they're going down from their bedrooms, and you could see water stains. They didn't even notice it because they never look up when they're on the top floor going down. And they said, "Wow, we never saw that. Where is it? What do you think that's coming from?" And sure enough, I went outside real quick and I came back in. I said, "I can tell you exactly where that's coming from. It's coming from your chimney flashing." So very common in the state of Maine or in colder weathers, right? The flashing, as it gets older, starts separating from the brick, right? The glue starts drying, it starts separating a little bit. And when it rains, it comes down that chimney and it gets into the attic, and then it drips and it hits that ceiling. And they didn't even know that. And I said, it's a common thing, but you probably need to reflash your chimney. They didn't even know what that meant, but we ended up getting the house to sell for as is, and the buyers weren't really that. I should take that back. I didn't specifically sell the house. Somebody on my team did, but we ended up getting the house sold. Then it wasn't really a big issue. Had another house, public city, water. All great. House was built in, 1942, I think. I'll have to go back in my notes. And the seller thought nothing was wrong with the house, and I convinced my buyer, you need to have a scope done on the sewer line, because even though it's public sewer, you own from the house to the sewer line. That's you, to the public sewer, to the city sewer line. You own that. So sure enough, and I knew this because the house was built in 1942, it was still built with that clay kind of ceramic pipe, right? It didn't go to PVC and stuff until like the 70s, maybe the 60s. Plastic, it was that clay pipe. And what happens when you get clay pipe? Tree roots get bounded into, they grow right through the sewer lines, and they start binding up your sewer lines, so you have backflow. So had it scoped, and sure enough, there was a couple of log jams. And the seller went ahead and realized this. They realized that we weren't going to buy the house as is. They roto-rooted out the line, and when they did that, they noticed that there were some cracks in the sewer line. And unfortunately, the seller had to replace that sewer line before not only my buyer, but if we walked away from the deal, any buyer would have, unless they were prepared to drop another $10,000 or $11,000 to dig up that sewer line and put another one in. It wasn't that far from the street. I think it was like 110 feet, but still, you got to know these things, guys, if you're selling or buying a house. So it definitely pays. You definitely get paid in the long run by who you work with, right? Because they can save you a lot of money and a lot of headache and have smooth closings if you have somebody that has experience and has done this. And again, guys, I don't mean to beat up my industry. There are more and more people, more and more realtors have left the industry. Specifically last year, I think it was 90,000 have left the industry because, they just couldn't make enough money. Everybody thought they'd make a quick buck, but you really got to have time in market. You got to really have experience. You got to see things that other people haven't seen. And have I seen it all? I'm sure I haven't, even though I've been flipping houses. I own multiple properties. I've invested, I've developed, I've consulted for the last 20 something years in real estate. I'm sure I haven't seen it all, but I'm pretty dangerous. I know pretty much, I wouldn't say everything. There's a lot of things I don't know, obviously, because you don't know what you do not know, but I'm rambling right now, but you just really got to know what type of broker you're working with and make sure he or she is well-versed in some of this stuff. So yeah. All right, guys. Well, have a safe week. I hope this content helps you. Leave me some comments. Leave me some questions. I'd be curious. Be curious to know how many people have ever been to Maine. I think I threw out a survey last time. How many of you have been to Maine? Just say yes or no. And were you visiting? Are you looking to move here, or you just you haven't been to Maine and you're thinking about it? All right, guys, take care. I'll talk to you next week. Scott, over and out. Bye-bye.